The following show is a Pod Avenue production. You are cordially invited to have dinner with the King. Pull up a chair and join WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler and Glenn Moore. Enjoy.
It's Dinner with the King, episode number 89 of the podcast. I'm Glenn Moore, joined here by, voice cracking, by WWE.
Not only is your voice cracking, you were very high-pitched on that open. That's okay, though. I like that. Sort of the curly of the Three Stooges voice.
Knock, knock. I'm joined here, like always, by WWE Hall of Famer, Jerry the King Lawler. King, you and I, we do well, hello. We do not research, but we we talk about the topics that we're going to talk about for the week. It's a slow news week when it comes to professional wrestling. Some things happened, some things transpired, but I figured the topic for this week we talked about, I think earlier, like a couple years ago in an earlier podcast, about the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, and with you having decades of a career, and I'm sure you're on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore when it comes to professional wrestling, it's always good to hear who the King would pick for his personal Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. And I think this is
now. Do you want me to do a Mount Rushmore, or do you want me to be like a Shane McMahon and do a Rount Mushmore?
Oh yeah, what was up with that?
I don't know. I didn't even see that. Did that actually happen? Did that actually make air or something the other day? I actually saw it on Twitter on that, WrestleBotch or something like that. And it just showed a real little short clip of Shane McMahon, and he was, cutting a promo in the ring, and he said, instead of saying Mount Rushmore, he said Rount Mushmore. Which is just a slip of the lip, which happens a million times, but it's bad when it happens to you live.
Right. And so, I mean, that could be like the anti Mount Rushmore. That could be like the
Bizarro. The Bizarro
yeah.
Mount Rushmore.
There a couple
Mushmore.
A couple of wrestling podcasts. We all have our favorites. Obviously, me being a fan for, since I was a kid, I have my favorites, my favorite professional wrestlers. But like, there's a group of guys that like are mid-card guys that are like your favorites, like your boys. It's like not like Stone Cold or The Rock. It's like the Steve Blackmans or the Val Venuses of WWE. Your favorites. So I guess I could be like that, the anti Mount Rushmore.
No. Oh, I see what you mean.
Like your personal favorites that aren't really would be any way close considered to be on a regular Mount Rushmore of wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't think that. I think if you're going to make a Bizarro Rount Mushmore, you would have to go with, 4 of the worst gimmicks, or what you would consider the opposite of Mount Rushmore. Not your own personal favorites, just somebody that you would say, oh my gosh, that was the worst. They should be on Rount Mushmore.
Okay, so we're not here to bury anybody. We're not here to.
Yeah, well, if we do a Rount Mushmore, we'd be burying somebody. So let's just stick with Mount Rushmore. As a matter of fact, that reminds me of one of my favorite jokes that I used on one of my favorite one-liners I used on Vince McMahon back when we were, I would try to be like Vince McMahon. You're so old and stoic or whatever and everything. I said, your favorite rock group is Mount Rushmore. Get it? No. We were talking about music. Oh my gosh. Anyway, you just made my Rount Mushmore.
Jeez. I don't think I gave mine. I know you asked me before we started what would mine be, and that's a hard question because there's so many people, and
yeah. Absolutely.
It's just, I want to go old school. I want to include my favorites, and I want to include, obviously, like the Rock and Stone Cold and Hogan and you and Flair and Kane. People that I enjoy watching personally.
Yeah, well, let me ask you that. What presidents are on Mount Rushmore? Do you know?
We have Lincoln.
Yeah.
George Washington.
Yeah. Oh my God!
I'm trying to Google this as I speak the ones I know.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes, Roosevelt and Jefferson.
And
come on,
Thomas Jefferson.
Jeez.
I know Roosevelt was on there. I didn't know the Thomas Jefferson. I was going to say like James Madison, but
James Madison. He would be on Rount Mushmore.
So there's four heads on Mount Rushmore. Obviously, everybody knows that. So you have to go after all the wrestlers in the world. You have to come down to 4.
Yeah, that's
wrestlers.
almost impossible. And that's when you were asking me, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. You know, of course, Mount Rushmore with all those presidents, they go as far back as when presidents started, the very first presidents on Mount Rushmore. So if you want to go all the way back to when wrestling started and you're going to try to pick out the 4 most prominent wrestlers since the beginning of time, oh my gosh.
Okay, how about this then? Let's put a little spin on it. Since we talk Memphis a lot, obviously here on the podcast. What about your Memphis Wrestling Mount Rushmore?
Oh. See, this is so difficult because then you start burying people again.
Well, we're not burying people. We're not saying bad things about them. It's just opinion. It's the cream of the crop, in your opinion. Yeah. But obviously, you wrestle a lot of these guys. I'm sure the people listening. Well, they don't listen, do they?
Does anybody really
Dutch
listen to this?
Mantel listen to the show and say, I wasn't included?
Probably not.
Well, I would say, obviously you.
The word would probably get back to him.
You, Dutch. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Fargo.
Yeah, keep going.
Ooh, one more. Hanson Jimmy Valiant.
So that's your Memphis.
I'm sure I'm missing
Mount
somebody.
Rushmore.
Is that a bad? That's a bad Mount Rushmore?
It's not a bad.
Would you agree with that or no?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then give your retort, Mr. Lawler.
Well, no. I mean, I like I say, when if you have to go back down through the history of Memphis wrestling, oh my gosh. I mean, of course, I would agree with Jackie Fargo being in there.
You put yourself on there or no? Is that allowed?
I don't know.
It's like voting for yourself. Are you going to vote for yourself or are you going to vote for someone else?
Yeah, well, you probably vote for yourself. Jackie Fargo. I mean, it would be hard to put. What are you basing? What are you basing the inclusion into Mount Rushmore for Memphis on? I mean, the length of time that you stayed there.
I think it's when I think Memphis wrestling, those are the 4 names that pop up in my mind immediately.
Bill Dundee doesn't make it.
See, this is where it gets iffy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Jimmy Hart doesn't make it?
Well, I mean, he wasn't per se a wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go managers, we can do a manager.
Manager.
Cornette and Hart.
Yeah. Tons of managers.
Yeah. I mean.
You have a whole mountain range. You don't have to have it just.
You're going to need to be more than the 4 spot. But I mean, I know you don't want to bury anybody. You don't want to leave someone out and they get all salty and upset about this. I mean, we're just having some fun here on the podcast. But, when it comes to either doing Memphis wrestling or just wrestling in general, I mean, of course you're going to leave off somebody. That
yeah.
Well, how do you? I guess I don't want to say how do you feel, but when obviously a lot of people would include you on Mount Rushmore of not only Memphis but professional wrestling. The likes of obviously Flair, Stone Cold, Hogan, The Rock.
No, I would never be included on that.
Oh, I would include you
on the nationwide one.
I would. You're being humble. You're a humble man, so it's a little different. I know, but people include you.
If you're talking about a worldwide exposure, people. I mean, wrestlers that just gained worldwide attention and were known for a long time. I think mine would be Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold, and Flair. That'd be my Mount Rushmore. But if you really, I mean, how can you leave off somebody like Gorgeous George?
Yeah.
Or Luthez? You know, if you're going back into the day, or Bruno Sammartino.
Right.
How do you leave off guys like that? I mean, you know, but you know, the people that are watching WWE now, they never heard of any of those guys.
Unfortunately,
you know, the people that are NXT fans, they never heard of Gorgeous George, or probably barely even heard of Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah,
Luthez, never.
Mm-mm. It's I mean, I think if you break it down into eras, kind of like baseball, basketball, football, you know, people want to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James. Well, they played in different eras, and they're the top player in their eras, but it's a different game. So wrestling, you know, obviously 40 years ago is a lot different than it is today.
Oh yeah.
So I think maybe putting it in eras would be probably best.
Okay, so if I said mine was Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold, and Flair, whose would yours be?
I mean, that probably the same category as when it comes to exposure.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be the same. You know, Flair, Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, we invite everybody listening to the show to tweet out or Facebook your Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And if you are a big Memphis fan, we know a lot of people listening, Memphis-centric fans. What is your Memphis wrestling Mount Rushmore? I want to hear these answers. I want to see what the people say. What the people say with their Mount Rushmore. Say. But you can't argue against Hogan, Stone Cold, Flair, and The Rock when it comes to a national perspective. You think Flair national? I mean, worldwide exposure?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. But then, I mean, you know, that's just like you said, it's so difficult when you try to include, when you're thinking, I'm including everybody in this, and this is the top 4 that I come up with. I mean, look at the Funks and the Undertaker, and you know, there's so many names that other people would maybe include in their top 4.
Yeah, Bret Hart. I mean, people can say
yeah,
about
Bret Hart,
family.
of course.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
There's a ton of different wrestlers. Okay, well, how about
Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, you talked about guys that you grew up and you liked watching, and I mean, what would your Mount Rushmore be for just maybe a young Jerry Lawler? If I asked Jerry Lawler before he got into wrestling, who's your Mount Rushmore?
Well, then of course that would be that would have had to been all Memphis wrestlers, because that's except, believe it or not, I did my first time that I can actually remember watching wrestling on TV was out of Cleveland when we were living in Amherst.
Okay.
And that was they were getting the promotion that was owned by the Sheik. And I remember seeing, the original Sheik, Eddie Farhat. I remember seeing the Sheik and Bobo Brazil and guys like that. And this Greek tag team, the Tolos, Chris and John Tolos, the Tolos brothers. Seemed like they were on every week. But anyway, that was the first ones I remember, but then, of course, when I came to Memphis and really got into watching wrestling on a regular basis, then, of course, Jackie Fargo was the top guy. Don and Al Green were big heels. Tojo Yamamoto. Jackie Fargo, Tojo Yamamoto. Crazy Luke Graham was one of my favorites. My favorite tag team of all time were the Blue Infernos. Saul Weingroff Saul Weingroff was a great manager back in that day, and he managed all the top heel teams, the Von Brauners, and just and then Dr. Ken Ramey, the Interns. That was another one of my favorite tag teams.
So you have no problem filling up your Mount Rushmore of
it'd be like I said, I could do the whole. What's a mountain range in Tennessee up there?
Is it the Appalachians?
The Smoky Mountains.
Oh, the Smoky Mountains.
Smoky Mountains.
But yeah, so you can fill. I mean, so who would be your 4 then? You got to break all these down to 4.
From when I was a kid watching Jackie Fargo,
right?
He would be like the biggest. He had to be the biggest head on there. Tojo Yamamoto. Man.
He would have the second biggest head.
Yeah. Jackie Farber, Tojo Yamamoto. Trying to see, my other favorites were tag teams. It'd be tough to do. Well, I guess I could put
You could shrink the heads and put two where one head is at.
Or I could take one tag team and make that be the other two guys. Yeah. Don and Al Green.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler's the young Jerry Lawler.
There were so many guys. Lynn Rossi, Bearcat Brown. Oh my gosh!
Well, I mean, that's the same thing for me. Like when it's Stone Cold, The Rock. I could put Kane on there, The Undertaker. All these different guys that I enjoyed watching. I love watching Ken Shamrock, Kurt Angle. The other guys that would be on my personal one. Mm-hmm. Obviously Hogan, Macho Man. Flair. I mean, it's just so many. But
so many.
But to do one that was like the anti Mount Rushmore would be fun. Like the worst gimmicks in the world, which I think the person who played that gimmick would probably agree, but you never know.
Rount Mushmore.
You never know. Like the gobbledygooker.
Well, I did the gobbledygooker. That had to be one of the biggest heads on there.
Or the Shockmaster.
Yeah, poor Shockmaster.
Nothing against him, but it was just a notorious funny gimmick.
Yeah, and you know what? I was with a guy the other night at where were we at what was that thing? Heroes and Legends in Fort Wayne, Indiana. That was a lot of fun. That was a big show. A lot of people turned out for that. And I got managed by Jimmy Hart, managed me in my match, and he said that was the first time since 1984 that he managed me in a match. Now, I do realize, and we both realized that at one time in Jackson, Tennessee, he was on the card, but he wasn't billed to advertise to manage me, and he did go out and was at ringside, but I don't think he was there to actually manage me. Mm-hmm. But we did that the other night in Fort Wayne, and it was a lot of fun. Oh, Jimmy Hart. But one of the guys that I thought was there that it was fun that we hung out with was it was a kind of a I guess back during the Monday Night Wars, it was a gimmick that was kind of crazy. Gilbert, remember Gilbert?
Oh yeah, Gil.
Dwayne Gill. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, remember when we did the, of course, Gilbert, and then who else was the sort of anti things when guys would leave the WWE? Excuse me, go down to WCW. They do, the anti. Remember when they had fake Diesel and Razor Ramon?
Yeah, the fake Diesel, fake Razor Ramon. And
those should be on Rount Mushmore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Diesel was Glenn Jacobs, who turned out to be Kane. So I mean, he turned out. I'm not sure about the other guy, but yeah. So there's he's these are the Scott. This is Diesel and Razor Ramon. These are the guys. Well, the real guys are in WCW. Yeah. So those were bad. That was bad.
Who else did we make? Did we do a?
What the I'm not saying it's bad. The Brooklyn Brawler.
That was not a bad gimmick at all.
Okay. I was thinking Lombardi, more. I was not thinking like a bad.
Now, gimmick. Steve Lombardi did do
Kimchi.
He did a bunch of gimmicks. Yeah, he was Kimchi, which that was not. That had to be just going along with Kamala.
Right.
But he did do one crazy one that was he Curveball Schwartz or something like that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember Yeah,
he painted his face like a baseball.
Oh my God! What were these gimmicks? They're like these sports gimmicks. Like you had the goon.
Well, that was back in the day. That was back in the day that every single person had to be a character and had to have some sort of gimmick. I mean, remember Duke the Dumpster Drosy was a trash man and
Doink, the other clown.
Oh, you brought in a plumber. We had what was that guy's name? He was Dirty White Boy down here in Memphis. He went up there and he carried a plunger around or whatever. What was his name?
God.
He was anyway, plumber. But yeah, everybody had to be something at the time, and it didn't have to be a glamorous.
Was it T.L. Hopper?
T.L. Hopper. That was
Tony Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, he was Dirty White Boy.
Uncle Cletus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, you had the Godwins. They were the hillbilly guys. And then all the different hillbillies, Hillbilly Jim and Uncle Elmer.
And then you had all the factions. You had a biker gang. You had Nation of Domination. Some people love that era. Oh, definitely. I enjoyed it. Yeah, you had Los Barricas, Latino guys.
Yeah.
So you had like real life. I mean, you have guys that stick together, gangs, and they're just wrestlers. Now, if you do that, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You're being prejudiced against certain groups.
And now it's sort of like, I don't know, what if it seems just like sort of like generic. Everybody's just
with a Bastion Booger.
Oh my gosh, Bastion Booger. That was a horrible gimmick.
What about Isaac Yankem?
That was a great gimmick. My dentist. I did love that gimmick. I remember them showing. They would go to great lengths to put together these promos for him. Show the door to a dentist office and then have him instead of actually showing him drilling on somebody, you could have the silhouette like his shadow. You could see through his office door, and somebody screaming and crying and everything, as he was drilling their teeth. I liked Isaac Yankem.
What about one for the Attitude Era, Beaver Cleavage?
I don't remember that.
It was
Beaver Cleavage.
Beaver Cleavage was like a 19.
I remember Beaver Cleaver, but I don't remember Beaver Cleavage.
Beaver Cleavage was really mosh.
Of the Headbangers?
Yeah. And he was like a 1960s had like the 1960 look with a white shirt, and his mom,
like Leave It to Beaver.
His mom was really, really hot, like his valet. And, actually she showed a lot of cleavage. It was based off,
how did that gimmick not go over? That sounds great.
And they insinuated that he had a relationship with his mother.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that didn't go too well, and that didn't last very long. So Beaver Cleavage was, oh my God. I had to go back and watch some old Raws with Beaver Cleavage and hear your commentary.
Yeah, I'm going to have to too, because I do not remember that at all. He must not have been on very long.
No, it wasn't. It didn't last. What about Mantar?
Mantar, oh my gosh, with that horrible looking phony head of a bison or I don't know what that thing was.
The Stalker. Barry Windham was the Stalker.
Well, I can tell you one thing. It would be much easier to come up with a Rount Mushmore than it is a Mount Rushmore. Mantor might have to be on that top of that list.
Oh, definitely.
On that Rount Mushmore. And Beaver Cleavage.
D.L. Hopper.
D.L. Hopper.
Skinner.
Skinner. Poor Steve Kern got stuck with being the Skinner.
Skinner.
He went from the fabulous ones to chewing tobacco and looking like a swamp thing or something like that.
Oh my God, there's so many gimmicks that just didn't work out. Or Vince tried to work them out. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure Vince wasn't sitting around coming up with all these gimmicks. That was the early days of I think that was like some of the early days of what you call now the creative staff.
Yeah.
And they were sitting around creating gimmicks.
But Vince has the ultimate approval, though, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, it has to go. I mean, I guess people can say, well, Vince has the ultimate approval, but then you can just blame it on someone else. Say, well, it was his idea.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's not my fault. I'm looking through.
Who else was? Somebody else was at that Heroes and Legends. There was a lot of people at the Heroes and Legends show.
Yeah. Kevin Nash was there.
Yeah, Handsome Jimmy Valiant was there. I taped some more stuff for my TV show that's airing about Jimmy this Saturday. Kevin Nash was there. Yeah. Eric Bischoff. As I said, Gilberg. Oh, gosh. There's tons of people. Brooke Hogan was there. Kelly was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Gosh. There was just tons of people everywhere. And they had about 12 matches on the card that night. And everybody was saying, can I get moved up? I mean, like originally Jimmy Hart and I were scheduled to be the 11th match of the night, and I had to go to Jason Maples. Please move us up on the card right after intermission. We'll be the popcorn match.
But you're the main event.
Yeah, well, the main event that went on second. No, we didn't go on second. We got moved up. At least we were about like sixth, something like that.
Well, speaking of Vince, and there's some news that came out this week, and on SmackDown, obviously, being a commentator, there are words you can't say during commentary, correct?
Yes.
So you can't, before you couldn't say it's a belt, can't say promo, but now you can. Vince has allowed the word title and promo to be used on TV.
No, wait a minute now. Title was not.
I'm sorry, belt. The
belt.
word belt be used.
Title was never a problem.
Yeah, belt. So Charlotte Flair and Becky were doing a promo, and Charlotte says, "I'm going after your belts." And then she said, "Well, you're talking about in your promo," and people were freaked out because they're like, "Wow, these are words that are known to not ever be used, but now you can." So, you can say, so when you do commentary again, King, you can use the word belt.
Belt.
What do you like to call it? Title, belt? Does it matter?
Yeah, it was always, old school where you call it a belt.
Yeah.
Some guys would refer to it as a strap, even, but yeah, belt was always the common term, and I always felt a little bit uncomfortable just referring to it as a championship.
Yeah.
I mean, championship belt was great, but just leaving off the belt part was always difficult for me.
Is it belt because you're like people can get confused with actual belt, like holding your pants up?
I don't know. I don't know what the reason was with for Vince not liking that particular word.
If there was a replacement for a belt to signify a champion, another item, what would that item be?
Trophy?
Okay, trophy, yeah. Just carry around a trophy?
Yeah, like what about what's his name the other day? The guy that's rumored to be coming to the WWE from the New England Patriots.
Gronkowski?
Yeah. What about what he did with the Super Bowl trophy?
Oh my God, he's
taking batting practice and did a bunt with it and dented the thing. And that was like the real Vince Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. Well, the Stanley Cup, the guys get a day with it, and they take it out drinking, and they take it around, and that thing probably gets dented up more than any other trophy.
Yeah. So, and of course, I mean, we've done trophies a million times in wrestling over the years. I mean, what was the big trophy that for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal started out?
It's heavy. You can't be carrying that around.
Yeah, didn't it get broken on the first show though?
I think the day after on Raw.
Yeah, exactly.
The first one they used it, I'm like, oh, that didn't last long.
Yeah, trophies are pretty fragile.
What about a ring?
Rings are good. That would be cool. One of our biggest programs we ever had in Memphis was me and Bill Dundee fighting over the King of the Ring. We had this, what was the jeweler store then? There was big jewelers in Memphis. I think the guy died and is gone now. But anyway, we had this jewelry store make up this really huge ring. When Bill put it on, it looked like a pair of brass knuckles or something. It was so big. But yeah, we fought for the King of the Ring, which was kind of cool.
Kings of the Ring is wrestling's first audio drama podcast as a fictional depiction of the 1980s wrestling industry in and out of the ring. Join us as we take you back to the 1980s. You'll be a fly in the wall in the locker rooms of the past while the wrestlers put together matches. We'll take you into the jam-packed arenas where the rabid fans of the past believed everything they saw was real. We'll take you inside the ring where you'll hear what the wrestlers talk about and you can feel the action. We'll take you to the underbelly of the arena where the wrestlers got into all sorts of trouble. And we'll take you to the bars and clubs where the boys got into even more trouble. And it wouldn't be 80s wrestling if we didn't end up at the Motel room. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or go straight to the website kingsotr.com.
I think a ring would be cool, but it'd be hard to see if you're like, you're sitting back. You want to have a champion to stick out.
Yeah.
So I think a belt is the best. But I mean,
or a real big trophy. I like that too.
Yeah. Real big trophy. Other news.
A real big trophy.
On Raw, Bray Wyatt came back.
I saw that.
And he went from being a cult leader to being Mr. Rogers.
What on earth is that? Let me be your neighbor. No thanks.
So
what was it? What was he being called? I mean, was he still Bray Wyatt? But
he's still Bray Wyatt, but they call it the Firefly Funhouse.
Firefly followers.
Firefly Funhouse.
Firefly Funhouse.
Funhouse.
But yeah, all his followers were fireflies.
Yeah.
So
it's like a kid show. If people out there have seen Blue's Clues, I'm sure King, you have not seen Blue's Clues.
I have not.
It's like a real person in the cartoon world, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's talking to kids. He's being like really, like friendly, like a Mr. Rogers kind of guy, but in more of a creepy way.
And then all of a sudden he pulls out a chainsaw, right?
And then at the end, there's a cardboard standee of his old self, like with the fedora hat and the not the fedora, but like the hat with the apron, looking like his old self, and he gets a chainsaw and destroys it.
Jeez.
And they ran it on Raw, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, the return of Bray Wyatt!" And then they ran it on SmackDown, and the rumor is that it's scrapped. Not gonna.
Why is that? What happened? Some of the shareholders or
shareholders, and I guess people higher ups that have control over content on WWE said, "Yeah, that looks a little bit weird."
Yeah. Well, once again, you're not politically correct.
Yeah,
there you go.
You can't have someone, leading a group of children that was basically leading a cult. Earlier in his career.
Well, Pee-wee's Funhouse sort of put the damper on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
With the publicity that he got, but it's a hard. I mean, yeah, it is very difficult to do something in any way involving influencing children, that would even appear to influence children and be kind of out there. So, I mean, when I saw it, I said to myself, "Ooh, this is gonna be tough to make this fly."
Well, I guess there's breaking news that the shareholders and stockholders wanted to ditch the gimmick, but I guess WWE is going to decide to move forward with the character.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Breaking news. So they decided to move ahead. So maybe a little bit lesser. Tone it down a little bit, I guess, maybe. But, a new persona may be good for Bray Wyatt, because I think he was getting a little bit stale with the whole, the cult leader gimmick. He's not really winning anything. He wasn't really winning any time. He won a WWE championship, but he's not. I don't think he was being the whole cult thing was being kind of redundant.
I don't know. I mean, I always really, really enjoyed the Bray Wyatt gimmick, and I like Bray Wyatt, and his work is really good and everything. I don't know. I don't think it was his fault, but like you see, you used the word that it sort of got stale. I don't know if it sort of got stale, but it just kind of. I think for a while it got put on the back burner because maybe they couldn't come up with anything, creative couldn't come up with anything what they thought was new or fresh. And so when he got put on the back burner, then, I mean, I guess you're right. That's sort of associating with something becoming stale if it's not featured and that sort of thing. So yeah, then I guess they sit around and say, hey, we like Bray and we really should be doing something with him. And let's all put our heads together and come up with something new that we can do with him. And so hence the Firefly Funhouse.
Well, there's a comment that I'm reading right here, and someone compared Bray Wyatt's new character to Captain Spaulding.
Ooh.
like a creepy, a clown looking like a guy that maybe look a little bit,
and of course Captain Spaulding. I mean, he's
condescending.
That's a real
hilarity.
Scary horror movie character. You know.
So comparing to Captain Spaulding with Bray Wyatt. So I guess we'll see how that happens. I like Bray too. I always like the gimmick, but I just felt like maybe a little bit stale. Maybe freshen it up or give him actually a cult. Give him more than just a couple of guys following him around.
Yeah,
give him a little bit more. So that's all the news going to WWE. It's the super.
Easy for you to say. What about all the superstar shuttle or whatever? It's a shakeup.
The superstar shakeup took place last week, and this was like the first week of the new era, quote unquote, of all the people on the new shows. You had Reigns on Fox, which not surprising with the the biggest star in the company being on Fox with the new deal taking him coming to fruition in 6 months with Fox. So you got to have your big star. He actually did a Superman punch on Mr. McMahon.
I saw that. Wow.
So that happened.
That looked good. Yeah.
And so you got a lot of people. AJ Styles is now on Raw. You have Becky Lynch. She's wrestling twice. She's actually wrestling. She's defending her Raw Women's Championship, and then also defending her SmackDown Women's Championship. And she's wrestling Lacey Evans. Remember her?
Man, yeah, I do remember her. Remember you and I sitting talking to her in Memphis?
She was sitting.
You and I had no clue who she was, and all of a sudden now she's in one of the main events. She's
getting pushed to the moon. I mean, she's been coming out, doing her thing, spinning around, and then goes back. Then now she punched Becky Lynch, attacked Becky Lynch, and now she's facing Becky Lynch, who main evented WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And for the Raw, she was just sitting there scribbling down her journal backstage.
Yeah.
We're like, who is that? I had to Google her to find out who she was.
Yeah, and then she showed us all the pictures of her within her Army gear or Marine. What was she, a Marine or what was she?
I want to say she was a Marine, military background.
Yeah. Yeah, military background. That's a good way to put it.
And then now Becky's facing Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's. You have the Money in the Bank, which is also one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year.
Yep.
AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. You're going to have Roman Reigns versus Elias. So shaping out to be a decent card.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right, King, where are you going to be this coming weekend and next week?
Well, as you said, this is going to be posted this morning on Friday.
Yes.
So then tonight, I'll be in Waterbury, Connecticut for new Northeast Wrestling. And this is a chance for me to win my 171st championship. How about that?
That's amazing.
Yeah, me and Keith Youngblood. We're also going to have Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in our corner.
What?
So that puts a little bit of that tips the scales in our favor. We're wrestling these two guys that call themselves the King's Court, who are I've told you before. There's this guy. I don't know, man. He is running with this gimmick. A year or so ago, he decided that I had wrestled him a couple times up there in Northeast Wrestling. His name's Brian, and all of a sudden he shows up one week. He's got the phoniest looking little plastic crown, and they're terrible. And it was green of all colors, and he started calling himself King Brian. Because, and then, of course, he and I had to wrestle each other a few times. And then since that time, he's kind of upgraded his king gimmick. His crown looks a little better. His robes look a little better. He's got a scepter. He's got a manager. And now he's got a royal court of these clowns that follow him around. And King Brian is the Northeast Wrestling champion. He's going to be wrestling David Arquette tonight. And then his two guys, these King's Court guys, they are the tag team champions of Northeast Wrestling. So Keith Youngblood and I are going to wrestle them for the championship tonight. And as I said, we got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in our corner. So that should be fun. And then tomorrow night we're in, what's the name? We tried to Holyoke.
Jeez,
Holyoke, Massachusetts.
I can't even say superstar.
Holyoke or something, Massachusetts. We're there tomorrow night. Bunch of the same guys are on that big show, Northeast Wrestling. And then Saturday is the second of my, we started brand new shows on Jerry Lawler's Classic Memphis Wrestling. We did 13 shows before, and they were been in reruns for almost a year, and then started last week with a brand new show. We're doing them from Fitzgerald's Casino. They're number of our main sponsors now, and we do the show from Fitzgerald's. And it was all about Handsome Jimmy Valiant. Had some new stuff on Handsome, had a lot of old stuff on Handsome Jimmy Valiant. And there's so much stuff, he would definitely have to be on a Memphis Mount Rushmore. There's so much stuff on Handsome Jimmy that we had to do. We carry it over. We're doing 2 shows in a row. The show tomorrow is on Handsome Jimmy Valiant as well. And speaking of the show, there's talk now. I had a long talk with Jerry Jarrett the other day. And have you heard what Jerry Jarrett's doing lately?
Yeah, his own little Roku channel?
Yes, he's got this thing called Jarrett Parsons, Jarrett Parsons Wrestling Channel. It's not Jarrett Wrestling Network, Jarrett Parsons Network. There you go. And so we're going to probably be putting. I get asked this all the time. I put up a tweet or something about Memphis Wrestling, and of course it is on WLMT CW30 here in Memphis on Saturday mornings at 11. And I get, every time I put something out there about it, everybody from all over the world, I get tweets. Why can't we see it here? Can't we see it? It's just only local Memphis right now. But if we get it on the that Jarrett Parsons Network, it can be seen worldwide. It'd be on streaming video. It'd be on the Roku channel. And he's also about to go on, the Amazon Fire Stick?
Oh, Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, yeah. So it would be available to about 90 million households around the world.
Well, there is a lot of Memphis wrestling already on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. That's most of that is not
not allowed. You own that. You own that, right?
It's not verified. Yes, exactly.
CWA Memphis Wrestling 1983.
Yeah. All mine. And I've cut no deal with Amazon Prime. Matter of fact, they've got, this is the honest to goodness truth. They've got lawyers looking into that right now. And they said, here's the biggest company in the world is ripping you off for money that should be yours. Yeah, because people have to pay to rent that, to watch it or buy it. Or whatever.
If I rent it, it's 99 cents. Or if I have a Prime membership, you can watch it for free.
Yeah. And
then if I want to buy it, it's $2.
Yeah.
Without the membership. Your name's on it. You're a producer, so.
Yeah, well, that's
you don't get.
It's so bad. It's just something that's totally bogus right there.
So it doesn't say who posted it. It doesn't say who. USWA, Memphis Wrestling, Season 1, 1990.
Yeah,
you own that too. You can buy Season 1 for $23.
Yeah, and none of the money goes to anybody connected with the Memphis Wrestling.
Do you know who actually posted it? Do you guys know yet?
No, I have no idea.
Oh my God, there's
Well, don't be telling everybody. We want them to watch. We got them to watch it on Roku or Fire Stick or whatever.
Yeah. Get that taken down. Anything else? You're going to Vegas next week.
Yeah. I got to mention my sponsors for the show too. Fitzgerald's Casino. We have a great time. We go down there and tape the shows, and then hop into the buffet and visit the buffet there. And last time I was down there, Lauren said, "Well, while you're doing this, can I just have $20 to go over and play the slot machine while you're taping this thing?" I said, $20? Well, that'll last you about 2 minutes. And she comes back literally in 2 minutes, and she'd won $504.
What?
Yes.
Doesn't she always have good luck at casinos?
She does, especially at Fitzgerald's. It's crazy. She has great luck. I on the other hand do not. But anyway, and then our new sponsor, Champion Orthopedics. These are the people that down in South Haven, Mississippi. They are keeping my knees in shape for me to where I don't have to go under the knife, and they're keeping me able to go in and out of the ring. My good friend Jeff Pipkin and everybody, the Dr. Midius and everybody down at Champion Orthopedics, they're sponsoring my show now. Of course, Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill down on 159 Beale Street. They're still a big sponsor. And a new sponsor, East Coast Wings.
Oh, my.
You've been there, right?
Yes.
Yes, man. Oh, man. They're a new sponsor of our TV show, East Coast Wings, out there in right up by the Wolf Chase area. We were there last night after Peyton's ball game. Had some big lemon pepper wings.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. They
lemon
were so
pepper,
good.
Yes.
And what about the chicken macaroni and cheese?
Oh, my
Woo-hoo.
God. Yeah.
And then we got Dino's, which is a place where you can get meat and fish and all that sort of stuff here in Memphis. A new place that's opening up. We got a bunch of new sponsors for the show. It's exciting for me.
There you go. Yeah, I saw
Cauliflower Alley Club. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to be there next week too.
Yeah, Vegas trip, and then you'll be back for StarCast.
Yeah.
You'll be doing a couple panels, and then you'll be available for autographs and pictures. You'll be selling some 8x10s as well, so you'll be at StarCast for a couple days.
Yeah.
Out in Vegas. I'll be out there the full time as well. And
May 11th. I'm just looking at my day book here. May 11th, Doug Gilbert and I are going to be wrestling up in Mayfield, Indiana.
Ooh.
That's just north of Louisville, Kentucky. We used to wrestle every Tuesday night up in Louisville Gardens. So I want everybody, all those great Louisville fans, to come on up there. It's going to be a fun night, May 11th in Mayfield. Doug Gilbert and I are going to be there.
Well, aren't you doing a show with Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock?
Oh, yeah, man. That's the Tupelo. That's the Tupelo Con. When is that?
May 4th?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
that's before May 11th.
I only know because he posted.
There's Tupelo Con, which is like a big Comic Con that day in Tupelo. It's out at this big. They have this thing called the Tupelo Furniture Center. A lot of people don't realize that, but there are people that are listening to this all over the United States, and I'll bet you every single person has a piece of furniture in their house that was made in the state of Mississippi. Mississippi is huge for making furniture. And so they have this place in Tupelo called the Tupelo Furniture Mart, where they have once a year, they have this gigantic, it's like all these, I don't know, stores and stuff come and look at the new brands and the new things of furniture. But anyway, they also use it, they're using this place as a Tupelo to have their Comic Con. And then they're going to have a wrestling show that night. Jimmy Blaylock's going to be there. And Jimmy Blaylock is just he's so annoying, and he's just such a pain in the butt. Every time I do or say something, Jimmy Blaylock on his Facebook page will do this such stupid stuff. Like here, we talked about my what are you laughing about? We talked about my red tuxedo that Lauren picked out from me, right? From American Tuxedos here on Poplar Avenue, my friend Mike Huey. And I got so many compliments on that coat and that tuxedo, right? And all of a sudden, this idiot Jimmy Blaylock puts on his Facebook page that Jerry Lawler stole my $10,000 red tuxedo coat and wore it on WrestleMania, and I want that coat back. And I mean, just the stupid stuff, any kind of thing to get attention on himself, And so he's claiming that I ripped his coat off or stole a coat. His kid you've seen Jimmy Blaylock, right?
I've met him, yes.
Yeah, and you can't say fat. That's not politically correct anymore. So you have to say he's a nutritional overachiever.
Yeah.
He is. His coats would be made by Omar the Tent Maker, Jesus. Not American Tuxedo. So trust me. I mean, he couldn't get one of his fat arms in a coat that I would wear. So anyway, Jimmy Blaylock's going to be down there, and I plan on shutting him up for about the 100th time.
Bill Dundee will be there.
Bill Dundee, Memphis Mount Rushmore. Bill Dundee.
He will be there, and the first ever birthday present weapons match.
Yeah,
at the Tupelo Furniture Market.
That may make the Rount Mushmore.
That could be fun.
Rount Mushmore gimmicks. That'll go down in history of that match that I had up in Ohio, where they had the 15-pastor interdenominational battle royal at the church.
Jimmy Blaylock has 3 Facebook accounts.
I knew he was two-faced. I didn't know he was three-faced.
I guess his one got hacked and he made another. That one got hacked and he made another.
Yeah.
And all these people are like, how come I'm getting 3 friend requests from Jimmy Blaylock?
Oh, my God.
He always makes fun of Memphis, though. He doesn't like Memphis that much.
Well, he lives in Tupelo, Mississippi.
I like him. He's entertaining.
He's funny.
But he'll be down there, right? Tupelo?
He's funny, but looks aren't everything.
Jesus.
Yeah, he'll be down there in Tupelo. And speaking of looks and speaking of people and everything, I see just one little note that I had here. Well, our buddy Goldust.
Oh, Goldust, yeah.
Goldust is no more.
Yeah, he's moved on. He's not with WWE anymore. He's moved on from the Goldust gimmick. And he's going to be...
But it didn't take him long to land somewhere else, did it?
Well, I'm not sure if he's strictly AEW, but he will be wrestling his brother Cody in a match at the AEW show in Vegas, Double or Nothing. So, that'd be interesting, right? I mean, we've seen it before, though, right?
Yeah.
We've seen Goldust versus Cody. But that should be fun to see. But I guess Vince wanted to keep Goldust around, but Triple H said, "Nah, we gotta get rid of him." Maybe I shouldn't say that.
You probably shouldn't say that.
Okay.
But just let everybody know you said that and not me.
I'm going to delete that.
I did not say that.
I'm deleting that. I'm deleting.
No, I'll leave it out. Okay. Let's see. Anything else?
I think we hit on pretty much Dean Ambrose. He's gone from WWE now.
Oh, man.
He had his final match on Sunday.
Now, let me ask you this. Somebody calls me up and says that they saw that AEW was offering $6 million. I mean, did you even hear that anywhere?
No.
Or was that just
to Dean Ambrose?
Yeah.
All I saw from Dean Ambrose, and this is the dirt sheets, who knows if they're right or wrong, saying that, Dean is just fed up with wrestling. He's just going to take time off, just, for himself. He's not going to join it, AEW. It's just going to be, he's burned out from wrestling.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So, maybe he'll come back to WWE later on. Maybe he'll come back and we'll go to AEW. But $6 million a year? I'm just telling. That's just somebody told me that they saw that on the internet. No one is worth $6 million a year unless you're John Cena,
right?
In my opinion. I mean, if you're even him, maybe not be worth $6 million anymore. But
hey, wait a minute, man. We might need to go back to our Mount Rushmore. John Cena. Ooh.
I used to really dislike John Cena just because he kept winning and winning titles and whatnot.
Mizark. What?
But I don't think he's in the... Okay, I know Ric Flair, same amount of titles, and he is like the star of the last 15 years, but I would not put him with The Rock and Stone
Cena?
Cold and Flair and Hogan. I mean, he would be right there, like... If you had to chisel another face on that mountain, maybe he'll be right there next to him. But come on, Hulk Hogan and
who you're saying? You're saying who wouldn't be beside Hogan, Rock, and Stone Cold?
Cena wouldn't be up there.
Oh, Cena wouldn't. Okay.
I think, but he's like right there. He's like, if you add another face to the mountain,
right there serving them drinks.
He is,
here, Hulk.
If you had a chisel ready to, add another face to the mountain, his face will be up there. But I don't think he is just a sliver underneath Stone Cold, Rock, Flair, and Hogan. But he's up there, but he's not up there.
I got you.
Would you agree, or would you put him up there over someone else?
Man, I think there's where you need five heads on Mount Rushmore.
I think.
I think that John Cena would have to be right up there with those guys.
If I'm replacing somebody, I would. If I had to put Cena up there and take someone down, it'd be Flair. Take down Flair and put Cena up there.
Yeah, well, it's such a strong group anyway.
We're not burying anybody. We're not talking bad about him. We're just, it's a hard decision.
Yeah,
it's hard to talk. It's very difficult to put up with 4 guys up there on the mountain.
JP Diamond here, host of the hottest little rock and roll show in the world, Hot Trucks. We bring you the classics and the best new rock and lots of fun with people not listening to the Hot Trucks and much more. We have double shots and triple threats of your favorite artist. You'll find Hot Tracks on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Spotify. Everything Hot Tracks is at jprockin.com. It's the hottest little rock and roll show in the world. Hot Tracks, jprockin.com.
Greetings, wrestling fans. This is Dave Dynasty, host of The Dave Dynasty Show, the podcast that every week brings you nearly 2 hours of pro wrestling goodness from the Midwest. We feature interviews with the legends of the past, stars of today, and the prospects of tomorrow. We have segments that feature classic wrestling audio, whole episodes devoted to the history of Midwest pro wrestling, and much, much more. Do not miss an episode of The Dave Dynasty Show. We are available on all podcast platforms, or you can access past episodes and all of our social media links by visiting davedynasty.com. Be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Hey, yeah, I'm going to give you this farewell hint.
Oh, is this breaking news?
It's breaking news.
Okay. What's your farewell hint?
Do you know there's a famous agent out there that represents a lot of wrestlers?
Yes, he does like Mick Foley, and, right? Barry. His name is Barry, correct?
Barry Bloom.
Okay.
I think he represents Triple H, and I know, he was instrumental in getting JR this big deal with AEW. And I've never had an agent before.
Right, you're your own agent.
I'm my own agent.
Okay.
Except I did have a conversation, and somebody did agree to represent me.
Okay.
And that's all I can say. I'm not saying represent me in a certain venture.
Well, I mean, you're signed with WWE for 2 more years. So, I mean, that can't be for like a contract with WWE or anything. Agent when it comes to like movies and TV shows, maybe?
Well, it's the guy we talked about.
You're right, Barry.
Barry Bloom.
Okay. He represents a lot of people like Chris Jericho, right? Jim Ross.
Does he represent? Yeah.
JR, yeah. I think the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes, I think.
Holy mackerel.
And, okay, so who...
Goldberg? We talked last night, and
okay,
in a certain venture,
AEW,
a certain venture, he's going to represent me.
In a certain venture.
That's all I can say. I can't say no more.
But
what? But
it has to be for wrestling.
Yeah,
but you're signed with
WWE. What it
WWE.
has to be.
Well, you said speaking of retiring.
Who said that?
You did before you said you started this. You said, well, speaking of ending or something like that.
Oh, I was talking about Goldust though.
Oh, okay.
And then Goldust led me to think about the AEW, and then the AEW led me to think about JR, and then JR led me to think about the guy that got him the big deal was Barry Bloom, and then that reminded me that hey, I just spoke with Barry last night.
Well, you can tell me off air, right?
No.
No. All right. Well, I guess we'll leave the show on this cliffhanger. Tune in next week for the conclusion of King's announcement. Maybe.
Yeah, we may have more to tell you next week. We'll see. Who knows?
Right. Well, I look forward to
final word from you this week.
What is it? Tell me.
That's it? You're saying what is it?
Yeah. What is your announcement?
No. I cannot tell.
Can't tell. All right. We'll wrap it up. We're on all the social media platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartMedia. We're podavenue.com/king for all your past episodes, past 88 episodes, plus a bonus one. And I think that's it for this week. Anything you want to add, King?
No, I guess we'll see everybody next week. I'm going to be at the Cauliflower Alley Club. I guess we'll have to record this as soon as I get back from that.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot of news from that, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. A ton of people schmoozing and rubbing shoulders with all the wrestling greats.
Schmoozing.
All right. We'll talk to everybody next week here on A Dinner with the King.
See ya.
The preceding show is a Pod Avenue production.